Okay, let's do this. My door, I'm going to switch to the front view here so I have my grid lined up properly here, and then start dividing up the space. Go from midpoint to midpoint, and then I've actually got midpoint to midpoint. So I'm drawing these lines just to kind of start to dial in the door. So now I'm going to extend the line, enter, to here, enter. Okay. And I no longer, let's see, we've got 5 windows on this side, 2 windows on the top, and then 2 doors. So let's go ahead and divide up that space again a little bit more. One thing you can do that's kind of fun is you can divide lines into a number. So if I wanted to divide this line, div, divide, I can pick how many segments, and I'm going to do 5. And now it gives me little dots in 5 different spots. So I can use those dots to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal segments. So now I'll do line from here to there, here to there, from here to there, from here to there. And you want to every once in a while check to make sure when you're drawing these lines that you are drawing them nice and flat and in the right spot. Switch back to front. Okay, and then on the top here, we've got windows that go all the way across. And I can actually just mirror these lines to the other side. Mirror, enter, draw my flip line, and it flips it right over. Then I'll get rid of this line and this line. Okay. Next, the thickness of the mullion or the border around the window. I'm going to do 2 inches around the whole thing, starting with 2 inches on the inside here and trim it out. So let's do, for this, we're going to offset 4 inches, OFF, set 4, enter. I'm going to go this way, this way, this way, this way. And then the bottom, 6, enter. Okay. Switch back to perspective. Just checking to make sure everything's being drawn properly. Back to front view. Okay. Now I'm going to just fillet the edges of this using, oh, actually, hold your horses. I missed one, right? Yeah. Okay, offset 4 this way. Okay, now I'm going to fillet with a radius of 0, R, enter, 0, enter. And then I'm just going to come through here and click. What fillet does is, of course, it rounds those edges, but if the radius is 0, it makes a nice sharp edge. Okay, and then I did delete some of the lines here, so I've got to draw those lines back in. And then fillet again, right here, right here, right here. There we go. Okay, and then these ones are going to be offset 2 inches. So offset. And actually, you know, the easier way to do it might actually just be to draw these things in as rectangles so that they're offsetting all at once. So let's just use the rectangle tool and snap to snap here. Okay, and I'm just going to do this one side and then mirror it over. So let's go offset 2.5, enter. Click on the curve, go inward, Oh, actually, you can't do it that way. That's right, because you got to offset each direction. So let's do undo, 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 undo. Delete. Okay. So offset, enter, 2.5 this direction. Let's do 3. It looks better. Yeah. 3 inches. Okay. And then from the bottom, we'll do 3 inches. From the top, we'll do 3 inches. And now from the side, we'll do 3 inches. And then the mid parts here, we're gonna need to do 3 inches above. Like that. Okay. Now I'm gonna just draw these rectangles in. And of course, these can be whatever shapes you wanted. You can make a really cool shaped door. This is just going to be kind of modern and minimal. And then I'm going to switch to perspective here and select all of the curves here and extrude all the way through. Okay. And then I'm going to copy these. They should be mostly the same. This top one's funny. It's okay though. Okay. And then we'll just push these through, mirror it over. Mirror all of these onto the other side. And then we're going to Boolean difference. Well, let's do this one too. Front view, put a rectangle here. And there. Select it. Select it. Back to perspective, extrude, okay. And then just move it to make sure it's overlapping entirely. And we've got this up here as well. So offset 1.5. Oh, let's switch to a front view so it's offsetting correctly. Select these curves, back to perspective here, and extrude through. Okay. And then we're going to Boolean difference it, and that's how we're going to make our door frame. So Boolean difference. Keep this part, enter, and we'll just get rid of all of that, enter. Very nice. Okay. Next step is to make these doors separate, and then we'll make these into windows. But first I'm going to actually change the scale because we don't want the frame to go all the way through the walls like that. So let's just pull it in a little bit. Just, you know, this is actually a little artsy. We're not actually making it perfect there. Okay. Actually, let's not do that yet. Sorry. I want to split this out first. So let's do a rectangle from top to bottom, from a front view. Okay. So we want this rectangle. Switch back to perspective here. And I'm going to extrude that curve right there. And then I'm going to move it inward. And instead of Boolean differencing, which will get rid of that whole spot, I'm going to split it. So let's split, enter, this object, enter, with this object, enter. Okay? And then I'm going to split this object, enter, with this object, enter. Okay. So we can see now we've got this shape right here that's separate. And I'm going to extrude this curve through, make a little cutting blade to divide the two doors. Since this area is separate already, we're going to split that. So split this, enter, with this, enter. Get rid of it. Now I should have these two sections here, and I'm going to isolate it. Click and hold on my light bulb and isolate the objects. Now I've got to fix it. So in order to fix this, because it's nice and flat, it's pretty easy. I can just use some surfaces, and I'm just going to grab the surface tool from points and go here, 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 here. Okay. And then I'm going to join that to this. Okay, let's do the same thing again with this one. So this is just clicking on 4 points, makes a surface, and then join. And then let's just do it the rest of the way here. So if I go here, here, and since I'm in a perspective view with the grid going this way, it's a little wonky, but as long as I got my snaps, it should snap into position. Oops, see, wrong, delete. Enter brings up the same command, point, 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 point. There we go. I'll go ahead and join. And then and join. Just rebuilding those edges. So now I'm going to actually move this over 20 inches. And I'm doing it based off of a number so I can kind of figure out how to move it back. And you can see I accidentally did not join this, so I can just move that over 20 inches too. Make sure it's joined. Whoops. So I moved it over 20 inches so I can move it back 20 inches. I'm just basically trying to get to the inside there. And we'll put another surface to close off the geometry. And join it. And then we're going to move this back -20. Okay. And then I'm going to go to show selected here. So show selected is this one. And I want to show this. Enter. And then I'm going to hide these two because I do have broken geometry inside of here too, right? Because we split all that out and now there's open geometry in there. Let's close those. So again, we're just using 4-point surfaces. Okay, and join. Then bring back our doors here. Starting to look more and more like it. And because these are, there's going to be like a little bit of a gap between the doors and the frames, I'm going to shift and click on the scale to like scale the whole thing down, but I just want to do it such a small amount, like that. Just kind of dragged it a little tiny bit. And you can't have grid snap on to make that work. So make sure your grid snap is turned off, otherwise it'll go a little wonky. Okay. And then I'm gonna actually move this 0.001. Oops. Negative 0.001. Trying to give it a little space. This one 0.001. Just a little space between them. Okay. And then now what we got to do is make the glass. So I'm just going to find all of these curves. You can find them all at once, but if you mess up, you got to start clicking again. So it's kind of a pain. There we go. Just make sure I'm selecting the rectangles. Okay. Then I'm going to extrude those, and I'm going to do it 1/4 inch, 0.25 for the glass thickness. And then I'm going to move them back in space, and I'm going to use the reference of this line here. So just go M for move, enter, specify my base point where I want to move from. So I'm going to click here, and even though I'm moving the other objects, I am using the midpoint here to move it in space. Oh, it looks like I moved the, sorry, I moved the lines. Didn't do me any good. So I want to move these these glass panels. So move, enter, click this endpoint because it's relative to the same spot, and then find that midpoint right there. Boom. Okay. Then I'm going to do this one too, extrude curve, 0.25, and then move, enter from here to there. Okay. And let's go ahead and mirror all of these over. Find a midpoint, right there. And looks good. Okay, so we got the glass. Now we just need to do the glass on these segments. But I did move them, so these are not in the right spot anymore. I'm just going to delete these curves because they are no longer accurate. And then I'm going to draw another rectangle from a front view just to get the right size here. And over here. Okay, switch back to perspective. Make sure I drew that line in the right spot. I didn't. Okay. At this point, I'm actually going to just delete all of the curves that I've got because I've got so many. They're going in different places. It's a little confusing. But if I go to View or Edit, select Objects, and then go to Curves, all of the curves that I've created here I can just delete. And it deleted all the curves on the entire project. So now when I go to a front view and I draw that rectangle out, I know I'm not mistakenly drawing on a curve. I'm drawing on my actual object here. Then switch back to perspective, extrude curve, 0.25, enter, and then we'll move it to the middle. Move, enter here to, where's my midpoint? Let's try to find like a center point or something. I don't want a center point, I want a midpoint. Well, delete this, move, enter. I had the curves grabbed. Keeps finding center. I'm going to turn the center snap off. Okay. All right, and just to make this a little bit more realistic, I'm going to go to a top view and bring in the thickness of the walls a little bit. And then switch back to perspective. And I'm going to bring in the size of these doors even a little bit more. Go back to top so we can see doors. Back to perspective. Oh, did I not join something here? Yeah. I forgot to join this to this. So let's go back. Let me just hide these two for a second here. See this poly surface on the inside of here needs to be joined to this. Okay. Bring back those. Okay. Now we'll change the scale. All right, now let's look at it in render just to see how the light's falling on it. Looks pretty good.